You okay? Oh, no, no, no. You're growling at me. You're not supposed to be on their bed. Hey, this is Loda, and I wanted to do a video on a whole cloth quilt that I did. This is some really old footage, probably from like a month or two ago. It's a very different and unique kind of quilt that I've done. This is not custom. Well, it is custom, but I set up the computer to do this quilt. I've never really done one of these, so it was a little bit complicated for me, but I thought you'd like watching it. Here I'm going to show you some footage of how I set up the embroidery machine. On this machine, we are going to work on, it's maybe I should edit it and make it bigger. It's a huge letter S with a wedding date. She wanted me to embroider the letter S for her. So that's one. And she doesn't want really any colors. She wants just a basic beige, and that's what we're gonna do. So it's just a huge letter S. It's step stitch, especially for quilting, and I believe this is also step stitch, maybe satin stitch, so that if it gets caught on any jewelry or anything, it doesn't unravel. And step stitch does take longer for embroidery, but you'll be happy that you did it, especially if you're doing it on a quilt. So here's the center for the base. Here's a large piece, and I use these scraps to kind of layer it and thicken it a little bit. Probably use this one for the back, or for here. And then I'm gonna probably use, just so that it has a little bit more stability, and I'm using my scraps stabilizer. So don't throw those away. If you're an embroiderer, you could use them for something. So here's my fabric. I'm gonna find center. It's raining real bad and thundering outside. And when I got my gamma, they said not to be quilting when it's thundering. So I guess embroidery it is. Tighten this down so it's nice and tight. Usually you have to make sure that the stabilizer goes all the way around when you have a logo that has a satin stitch around it, and it's mainly logo. This is a letter that's open, like a letter S, that doesn't have satin stitching around it. If it did have that, I would make sure that this stabilizer went all the way across. Oh, it's okay. And I'm making sure that nothing is underneath. I just had to go to Joann's because I don't have white padding. And the quilt is white on white with a really light beige variegated red. And so let me show you what we're doing. She wanted a specific, I believe the height of the quilt was had to be 65, and the width of the quilt was 55, plus she wanted to add a 4-inch border on each top and bottom and right and left. And so I did mark it, and I had problems marking because fabric shifts on you. I think ironing is the best option. Okay, so this is my line. I've done a couple of them. I'm trying to get exact. From here to here, it needs to be 21.5. And then I'm going to have a 1/2-inch border here. So we're quilting the center at this current time. This is what the center is going to look like. And then I have these two areas where I'm going to do the borders and the corners. Quilt it all the way down. And this way I'm going to stabilize all the fabric and stitch it down. And then I'm going to go back up to the top row and the bottom row, depending on where I'm at, and put the border on. And then I'm going to remove this, flip it, and then put the border on the horizontal. So it quilted all the way across. Looks beautiful. And then I'm going to roll the quilt, and see, I'm going to also trim this off. And when you have white fabric like this, you have to make sure that there's nothing, like linty, nothing on this white, because it will be seen. So as I roll it, I'm checking the batting, and I'm gonna go ahead and roll it real quick and get the other section done, because I need 4 of these to have this done. And then I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do next. What you're gonna see me doing throughout this quilt is I'm going to use this ruler to use the center guidelines to make sure that I am placing this at 20.5. So I have a line here. I don't know if you can barely see it, but I'm making sure that those guidelines are the correct guidelines throughout the whole quilt. So when I roll it, I'm maintaining the same guidelines. Make sure it's at 20.5, which is right there. 20.5. And I wrote myself a note, this. So I got this center done. I try to center this line down. I need to straighten that out, but it is center. Well, initially I was just gonna put the center quilting and then the border on. I told this client that maybe it would be good to go ahead and put a small kind of like edge on it. I want to create a small little tiny border. I'm trying to make sure that I have the line drawn in right so that when I do sew it, I sew it in right. I'm just gonna, and I didn't take the machine off the belts right now because I just want to draw a simple line. This is what the border looks like. I try to measure it exactly like I need it, but so I'm gonna wet this and then I'm gonna work on the bottom. So what I did here is I put a little border, kind of, oh, I need to fix that. That's horrible. I could fix it. And then I put a little border here. So I have guide marks, guidelines, yeah. So today I'm working on something for myself. I've noticed I have a better attitude about my work if I do something that like is for me. I'm making this banner, but I want to go ahead and quilt it. This is how the banner can look. So what I'm doing is I'm quilting it. I'm putting this beautiful rose filigree on here. And I'm doing it big because it's going to be a banner. And then I'm quilting this area that's kind of extra so that I can make a bag or a case for it. And then I'm going to also quilt this one. And I'm just doing really big, chunky quilting. Look how beautiful this looks. Oh, wow. And look at the rose. Yeah, how pretty this is. But no. Yucky. No. No.